So yesterday we saw that how to add different another task component inside our main task component. So whenever we click different user, we get like different amount of tasks. So now we have to add the data in the tasks. So how will we do that? Firstly, we will go to our task component. Okay, and then we uh, when we see our this file, okay, when we see our uh, this task data, okay, we can see it is storing id, user id, title, summary and due date. Okay, so what we have to do is we can just make a interface as we did earlier, of a name task, and then we can store it as an input in our task component file here. Okay, so for that, firstly, like interface task. Okay, okay, we can see id, user id, title, string, summary, due date, everything is stored here. Okay, and now inside our task component, when we call this input, oh sorry, firstly I have to input above also from Angular. Okay, I have imported input. Now I can use input here. Okay, we are getting like this required set to true, and then here we are calling task, and here we are calling our task interface. Okay, and it is storing in this task value. And what will this do? When we go to our this component, we can just call task dot uh, what was that, task dot title. Task dot title. Hmm. Task dot title, or in time what we can add, task dot due date. Okay, oh sorry, firstly we have to call them as a property binder. Due date, and here also task dot summary. Okay, so this is done here. Now when we go, okay, this is done, and then we can use this thing in our task html file. Here you can see already given a required input task from component, task component must be specified. So here we will specify our task component. So what we will do is tasks. Okay, so this thing we are calling it here, and this is our task property that we defined in our component. So I think this should work now. ah, right, we can see we are getting different tasks here. So it is successfully added. We have successfully added tasks to our users. Now coming to the next part. Now what we can do is, like, we can see this interface thing. So what we can do is we can just cut this from here, and we can store it. We can make a new file inside our user folder only. So like user dot model dot ts. Okay, and then we can just paste it here so that we can use this anywhere else where we want to use. Right now we are using it in user only, so it doesn't matter, but in big applications, suppose we want to like reuse our interfaces or types, so we can do this, define the types of interface in a new file, and then we can use it by importing, like simply like we import any component. So suppose here I can import user from user dot model dot ts. We have to add like export keyword here. Now we can easily export this out, but this will work now as the same. Similarly, what we can do, as we have made an interface task interface here as well, so we can just cut this out. In our task folder we can make a new file. We can just export interface task, and then we can just write import task from task model. So when we open our website, will work like before only, no changes. So like we can do this thing to like structure our code. So now we want to suppose when we select a user from this users list, suppose I select this David Miller. When I click on it, I can see like this user is highlighted. So how to add that thing in the code? So what I did is I went to my app component, sorry, this user component typescript file, and I added this input selected, which should be a boolean. So I just added this selected property, which I will input, and in this selected property I will style it by adding this. We can see this. What was it? This active. You can see this active class. So uh, we will call this active class from CSS and then style it accordingly. So for that I added this, and in my component HTML file I added this code, like I called selected here, and then it will work only when uh, like when the user ID matches the selected user. Okay, so if both the IDs matches, then we will run this, and this when we go to the CSS file, sorry, HTML file here, user HTML file, and I added this class. This is like a new syntax, like to add like active property to the class, and it should be added in this selected keyword. And after that, this was the result that I got. Whenever I click on a user, I can see that the user I selected is highlighted. So this was a small thing that I did. What we have to do, that like we have to um, get this complete button working. So when we click it, this task should get deleted from here, removed from here. So suppose when I click it, it should get deleted from here like this. Okay, so how that will happen is like, here is our code. When we go to the task component TypeScript file, you can see I have added here this output option. Okay, to output a thing that is a complete thing, complete property, and it should be an event emitter. And then I have created a method on complete task, and inside it I have like called this dot complete. I have called this output property, and I am emitting this uh, to this task ID. Okay, and after that, when I go to my tasks component TypeScript file, sorry, before that I have to go to my task component HTML file, and here I have added this thing, like I have called here complete, that I created on task component. Okay, you can see task component dot complete. I'm calling that, which is an event emitter, and then it is like calling this on complete task. Okay, which should be an like, and we are defining this as an inside it roller side event, which is an angular property to like show that this which event is emitted. Okay, and in my task component now I have added this on complete task method. Okay, which is inputting a id string. Okay, and then this task equals to this task filter, and I have added this code. So what is happening here is um, suppose I am calling it this tasks, and inside that I want to filter those tasks accordingly. Suppose what we want is, we don't want our task ID to be same as the ID that we are calling here, because if it is same, then we will not get the desired output. So after that, mm, this is completed now, and in my now finally in my task component HTML I have, this is my complete button, and here I have called this event listener, that is click on click, and then here I have called my on complete task method. So after doing all that, we can see that when I am complete clicking on this complete button, it is getting removed. Okay, so this is about this done. Now coming to the next thing. Now I want to like add a functionality to this add task button. So when we click it, we can add a new task from here. So for that, we will do the basic setup first. We will have to make a new component inside our task, this task folder. So what we will do is, hmm, we'll have command line interface ng generate component tasks. Inside task we want to add, then the name should be new task, and we have to skip the press as well. So now when we press enter, we can see that a new task component is created. task component TypeScript file. Okay, we will add new like property here on start add task. So I just named it, and when I call it, it should supposed to add a new task. This is adding new task equal to true. This should be true, and then we have to define it in our component task component so that we can control it. Okay, this is done now. It should be set to true here and should be set to false here to use it inside that. Now coming to our task component HTML file, we have to add a new, like call a new component here, that is app new tasks. Should be inside this if function, if thing. We will call this is adding task that we created. We have to add that, import that component here. Before that, one thing is also here, complete task on the add task button. Wait a second. On the add task we have to add a event listener, so after that only we can call our new component on start add task, and it should take an empty argument. Okay, so it is successfully called here. Now this app new tasks should be added to our task component, I think. TypeScript file. It is already imported automatically. Okay, so now when we click on add task, you can see this new component is created here, new task work. Okay, so now whenever we want to add a task, we will add it here, and in the next video I will show you that how to add the data dynamically here. Now I have added another functionality, so whenever I click add task, I will get this dialog box open. So I was not able to get back to my home screen, and I was not able to use this cancel button, so I have to add functions on my backdrop and this cancel button as well. So I have to add that functionality. So what I did was like firstly I went to my task component, and then I created a method here named on cancel add task, and then I set this dot add in task to false. Whenever this is false, then we will get back to our home screen. Okay, and after that in my new task HTML file, here I have added this click this event listener, and I have added this new cancel property, which should be an output, and it should be like an event emitter. And here I have added an like what is it called, a method on cancel, which also emits something, but it should be a void. It should not emit a value. Okay, so this on cancel, this will be called on our task component HTML file. Sorry, on cancel will be called on our like this, the event listeners on the clicking. So this will be called here on the backdrop as well as the cancel button. Okay, so it is called here. And after that, this is completed. And after that, coming to our HTML file of task, here I have added this cancel, this cancel event from new task component dot cancel, which is an event emitter. I have called this cancel event that I created on my new task, and then I have called this method on cancel at task that I created here. Okay, so it is I have done here. And then when I go to my website, and when I press cancel, it is get cancelled. And when I press outside, it will take me back to the new screen. So thank you, sir. That's what I have done today. Now I will show the other things in the next video. Also, I tried to like make that add an like add a new project screen, a sample project screen gave me, but there was some error in the dependency. It was not done. It was not like resolved yet. So I just deleted my GenQ folder, and then I again get cloned it, but now it is showing some errors on the server, I think. So that's why I was not able to complete that. I will complete that in the on the weekend, like in Saturday Sunday I will complete that thing. Thank you, sir.